we left off in terms of where we are in the universe. I was just talking about the fact that what we've discovered are these millions of superclusters of galaxies. All of them are moving away from each other. And we're not going to go into the science of it. I'm just going to just tell you what we know, and then we're going to think about it together. And what we know is this. I mean, what we know, in other words, again, this is hypothetical scientific tentative knowledge, right? It's the best we have, but it's an exploration. Every supercluster is at the center of the expansion. That's an amazing idea. Every supercluster is at the center of the expansion. So this goes back to the work of Edwin Hubble, and his collaborators later on determined that the galaxies were all moving away from us. In other words, from our supercluster. And then following upon the work of Einstein, his model of the universe, we realized that if we were observers in any other supercluster of galaxies, we would find ourselves at the center of the expansion. The reason that it's counterintuitive for us to take in, because I'm just as boggled by it as you are. It's like, what? Am I missing something? Brian, say that extra sentence, you know? It's like that cartoon. It starts off like 1 + 1 = 2, you know, x squared = 4, and then it gets kind of hard to read it down here, therefore God exists. And the guy's going, you get kind of fuzzy here in the middle. So, I mean, I haven't got any way to make it intuitive, because our consciousness has been shaped by what we've learned. What we've learned is that space is a place. That's what we've learned. That's what we grew up with. We grew up with a Cartesian understanding of space, very, very particular, in Western industrial society. So we think of things as being at a position in space, there and not somewhere else. And get this, Alfred North Whitehead, who's kind of my favorite philosopher, and Eric Weiss teaching the course, some of you were in there, he's a brilliant, brilliant guy. And when he was trying to figure out what the one essential problem with modern consciousness is. And he said, we tend to think that things are at one place. That was it. He said, if you think this chair is here, okay, boy, you got some problems. So he said he called it simply located. But I'm just trying to get across to you. This idea of space is like a frozen place. So what we now realize is space is dynamic. It's got a story. So space is opening up in a way that makes every supercluster of galaxies unmoving. Now that's sort of the science. Okay, now we're going to think about it. Like, what does this mean? What are the implications? Now, here we use our imaginations, we speculate. Here's an idea for you. The reason the universe operates this way is because the universe concentrates itself at each point. The universe centers itself at each point of itself. Now that is, you see, that's a different idea. And it can't be taken in with a Cartesian or Newtonian mindset. See, it starts to fracture something inside of us. That's a good thing. You see, going back to what Todd was saying, if sometimes it's like, whoa, this is overwhelming or so forth, that's a good thing. Because what we need are ideas that can tear apart a form of consciousness that is no longer adaptive. We want things to be torn apart, the things that are no longer adaptive. Now, identifying which things are adaptive, which things are maladaptive, the definition of that is wisdom. Okay? So it's not something that's easily acquired, but it is what we're searching for. And so I'm saying now that the universe then, like Wendy is saying, the universe isn't just a whole big collection of stuff inside a giant room. It's way more interesting. It's somehow more dynamic and more intelligent than we realized. We meaning the modern societies. And so now I'm just here throwing out an idea. Here's what it does. It centers itself at each place inside of itself. It's totally present there at each place. And the reason it does this is because it is, like Wendy was saying, it's wanting to explore something new. That's a second idea in a way. It's saying that the essence of the universe is, one of the ways of talking about the essence of the universe is that it wants to surprise itself. It wants to give birth to something it never really experienced before. It's a lot like us. So, how then are we going to feel at home with the fact that the entire vast universe that was scaring my friend in New York, right? That whole vast universe is somehow centered in each of us in a personal way. Well, here's one suggestion. The suggestion is this: that the universe is going to operate within us pretty much the same way it operates everywhere else. And it's the way in which it will move us forward is its own most powerful energy it possesses, and that is fascination. Or another word for it is passion. This is the strongest energy the universe has for moving things forward. And it's a wonderful experience to finally realize that your passions are uniquely your own. And the way you can, if you haven't experienced that yet, find something you really, really are passionate about and try to explain to someone else. See this Nina, see this happened to Nina a bunch of times, all right? Mom, check this out. Nina, that's ridiculous. So it's just the way in which, when we have a difficult time conveying just how thrilled we are by whatever it might be, then already we're beginning to get a touch of that the uniqueness of passion. The universe is universal, but it's also unique. It's both things. So each of us, we're profoundly human, we're profoundly universe, and we're utterly unique. And so part of the search, the human search, the truth quest, the spiritual development, is to allow yourself to identify in one way or another that unique passion or fascination that is yours. And when I say identify, I mean there is a magic that happens with symbols or language that as you, or art, you see, as you give expression to it, it comes alive and deepens and becomes stronger. So that is a huge part of what PCC is about. And one of the things that we talk about is that, especially with your first semester, you should start off taking those courses that just intrinsically interest you. They don't have to be in the PCC program. Anything that's offered in CIIS, anything. You just read it, and you get blasted by the energy, like Shannon, and that's a clue. So you just go with that. So, looking at the universe then, in terms of this dynamic, I like the word allurement, but I mean, so that's in the book that you're assigned to read in this course. But the way I like to think about this dynamic is in terms of the universe creating a star.